And to talk about this in detail, I'm joined live on the news by Ola Atose, CEO, Koinkoin Exchange. Good morning, Ola. Glad to have you join me.
Yes, good morning. Nice to be with you.
Let me start by asking you, what's your take on the ban or clamp down on Binance and also cryptocurrency firms?
Well, there are issues with the foreign exchange and the currency, the Nigerian naira. And I think it's critical at this point that the authorities do everything within their power to bring the fall in naira under control. With regards to Binance specifically, if the central bank and the regulating authorities have reason to hold on to their executives or certainly ban Binance, that's certainly something that I'm sure the central bank has evidence for. And of course, the truth of the matter is, as we're trying to do in Nigeria, the SEC has invited us to all become registered as centralized digital exchanges. In every other country, or not all countries, but in most countries around the world, there are different regulatory frameworks by which digital assets exchanges are governed and regulated. So it is expected that all exchanges operate within different jurisdictions on the basis of the regulatory operations within those countries. So Binance, of course, has operated for a very long time in Nigeria, and not necessarily within the remits or confines of what the central bank and the SEC expect them to. So I think the central bank do have a case with regards to Binance, to try to really understand, what's been going on, movement of funds. When we say illicit movement of funds, is that funds moving into the country? Is that funds moving out of the country? Does Binance have a travel rule in place? Is Binance able to determine who funds are sent to and who funds are coming from on the blockchain? And in all cases, as it applies to Nigeria. So these are questions that I think Binance will have to answer for, to the central authorities. So that's my view. It's very difficult to really answer the question and, say that there aren't. I mean, there's two sides to the story, of course. As an exchange, Koinkoin has begun speaking with the SEC in Nigeria. We're a much smaller company. We don't have a P2P platform, and we're waiting to get our license before we can officially, roll out our solutions across Nigeria. And I, for one, have been an advocate for, regulations for cryptocurrency in Nigeria for quite a long time. And the reason why we want to be regulated is so that we can avoid situations such as, the situation that Binance currently finds itself.
Yeah, just to chip in there, you talked about the movement of illicit funds. I'm wondering if you believe this monies can be recovered and those involved sanctioned.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? It depends on how you define illicit funds. Illicit funds are moved not just over the blockchain in terms of using platforms like Binance, but illicit funds are moved using the banks. The major difference between the banks and the obviously traditional finance and the ledger system that banks use is that the banks have a travel rule employed. So what that means is if I were to send money to yourself, the money comes from my bank account number, which is tied to me with my name and my details. And when the money is sent to yourself, it goes to you with your name and your details, right? So whatever type of funds they are, we know who the money has come from and who it's gone to. On the blockchain and on Binance specifically, if you send funds from one person to another, if it's not all on Binance, then you can't identify the people who are sending the money. So, for example, if someone receives, a cryptocurrency at Binance that hasn't come from another Binance account, maybe it's come from another exchange, maybe it's come from a private wallet, it will be difficult for the central authorities to be able to understand who the funds have come from. So that's a valid point as far as the federal government is concerned. And the second point is, how do you determine whether the source of those funds are proper, if you like. And that's also a valid point as far as the central bank is concerned. So what are the funds? Are they illicit? And have they been obtained through means which are, untoward? It's a very difficult question to answer because we simply don't know. And that's why, it's pertinent as part of, certainly our KYC process that we identify source of funds before we allow folks onto our platform. And also something else that we're working on is the establishment of the travel rule, such that any funds received, we know where they've come from and who they've come from. Likewise, funds that are going out, we know where they're going and who they're going to. This is critical if digital assets and cryptocurrency platforms are to be successful in Nigeria and indeed across the West African region.
Ola, I can't help but ask you if you think a ban on Binance or cryptocurrency is really that silver bullet to strengthening the naira in Nigeria. What do you make of that?
So in terms of the naira specifically, there are other issues, right? The belief is there have been issues from the previous administration, which the current administration is doing its very best to fix. It's not just, cryptocurrency exchanges that are adding fuel to the fire, which is the crippling naira. I believe, and to put it in a more financial way, setting reference rates for the value of a national currency by a private company which isn't regulated doesn't help, right? You can't really have an international currency, a national currency, like the naira, and the reference rates for that naira being set in real time by orders which are coming in and out of that system publicly without the oversight and the regulation of the central bank. That's just not right. And I can tell you for free, if I went to China today or Hong Kong today and set up a platform and I was pricing CNY or CNH versus USDT in real time in China or Hong Kong without the regulators behind me, they'll pick me up in no time. So I think, regardless of the fact that the cryptocurrency exchanges are not the only culprits as to what's happening to the naira, they're not just crypto companies are responsible for this. I think we still need to do things the right way. We can't have foreign exchanges come into Nigeria and set reference rates for the naira in real time without oversight by the central authorities. That will not be allowed here in the United Kingdom. It won't be permitted in Hong Kong or Singapore. It's just not done anywhere. So we in Nigeria owe it to ourselves to do it the right way, right? So any ban on cryptocurrency platforms, I believe, will be temporary anyway, right? Once there's an understanding of what has transpired, right, I believe cryptocurrency exchanges will be able to operate under the rules and the guidelines and the framework which the SEC is putting out. And I think that's exactly what we will be able to use to go forward to providing, a safer environment for users and indeed companies like our own to operate in Nigeria. So I think that's, this is just necessary for us to pave the way forward now that cryptocurrency is a mainstream asset.
Well, thank you so much for your time on the news. Ola Atose, CEO, Koinkoin Exchange. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.